Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to The Huddle.
Where we award about football. Does that make sense?
Makes zero sense, but
Okay.
yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first ever Huddle Awards ceremony on, of course, The Huddle, where, of course, we talk about football.
Yeah.
Today, on your Playbook, we have just a little bit of NFL news. We're going to go over the all-rookie team, offense and defense, and special teams for this past season and compare it to what we had in our original predictions. And finally, we will finish off with the Huddle Awards of this season. And don't think this is just like best catch and like whatever. No, these are good awards.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later. But first,
deserved awards, not
yeah,
defensive player of the year.
Miles Garrett garbage. Here's some NFL news for you. Nelson Aguilar will be returning to the Ravens on a 1-year deal. Keeps him in Baltimore. The Seahawks kept Geno Smith this past week, lets him collect his guaranteed $12.7 million. Jimmy Garoppolo got a 2-game ban for next season for violating enhancement drug policy.
Clearly did not use enough.
Right. If O'Connell is starting over you. Former Seattle Seahawks, San Francisco 49er, Carolina Panther, Atlanta Falcon, Chicago Bear, and Baltimore Raven running back Mike Davis retires today after 8 seasons. And last but not least, just want to put it out there, all of our prayers and thoughts are with the victims of the shooting that happened in Kansas City last week. Obviously, not something that is very fun to talk about, but prayers with the family that lost their loved one and to the other people that were wounded or injured by the shooting, that they have a speedy and quick recovery. So that is it for your NFL news of the week. Let's get into the all-rookie team. Elijah started off quarterback. Who do we predict in the beginning of the season, and who made the list today?
All right. So we originally both had thought Anthony Richardson would be the guy.
Well.
Yeah. Well, we were kind of wrong. Maybe he would have been
later.
Yeah. Maybe he would have been, but I guess we'll never know. But CJ Stroud will be taking home that QB spot, and I think that's well deserved because he's Rookie of the Year.
Right.
All right. And then the running back, we, if you remember back in the day, Levi was very big on this guy, and I think
I love this man.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Yeah. Wait.
I strongly was a believer that Bijan Robinson would be on this list at the end of the year. Didn't have a terrible season.
No.
Just played under Arthur Smith as a head coach.
Hey, he's going to be good this year.
Yeah. No hate. But Jahmyr Gibbs, running back of the Detroit Lions, takes home this award. The divisional round champions.
Yes. What?
The Lions.
Oh,
divisional round champion.
Yeah, yep.
Guess who wasn't the division round champion? Lol. All right, moving on. Go ahead. Receiving corps.
All right.
What's it look like?
So it originally started out with Quentin Johnson. Yeah, well, that didn't happen. Jackson Smith, the Jigba, who had a good year.
Yeah.
And then Jordan Addison, who had a great year.
Yep.
And Jordan Addison will still be on that list. But we have Puka Nacua, wide receiver 1. Yeah, he was insane. Wide receiver 2, Jordan Addison, as we just mentioned. And then finally the slot wide receiver, Zay Flowers, who had a pretty good year. I mean, a really good year. Yeah, until the end. With the Ravens.
Playoffs don't count.
Yeah.
But if we wanted to add another spot or two on that list, no doubt about that, we believe Rashee Rice and JSN would be on that list.
Yes. Yep.
Even Tank Dell. Tank Dell had a decent
Honestly,
season.
Yeah. If he didn't get hurt at the end of the year, he probably would have been the best. But yeah.
Moving on to the tight end spot, this is an absolute no-brainer. Another line on the list, Sam Laporta.
Nice.
Great season for him.
Oh, yeah.
As for the offensive tackles on this team, yours truly, Broderick Jones of the Pittsburgh Steelers,
yes,
and Paris Johnson
Yes, for the Cardinals.
The Cardinals.
Yep.
He started off kind of slow.
Yeah, and he had a lot of penalties this year.
Yeah, he did. But by the end of the season, he picked it up.
Yeah.
Cardinals got some big upsets against some big Pennsylvania teams towards the end of the season. So, absolutely, Paris Johnson makes this list.
Yes. And then for the offensive guards, we have Peter Skoronsky for the Titans and Steve Avila for the Rams. I really just had to look them up, to be honest. They had pretty good years for rookies, and yeah, that's basically why we picked them. For our mid-season ones, we didn't even have offensive line, so
Right.
I feel like that's
that one guy, I think his name's like Silly or like Siley So.
yeah,
The guard for the Patriots. He had a
Yeah.
decent season, so
yeah,
he would be an option here. And a center got hurt early on in the season, came back, performed pretty well. It's none other than John Michael Schmidt, center, the New York Giants. That is your offensive lineup for the all-rookie team. Moving on to the defense, who's your edge rushers, Elijah?
obviously defensive rookie of the year, Will Anderson Jr., and of course Tui Pelotu for the Chargers. He will get that other edge spot. And then obviously you can take away that defensive tackle Levi, and I think we all know.
Yeah, this is going to be Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
An absolute no-brainer. Another person some people might have thrown on the edge was Byron Young for the Rams.
Yes,
But if you want to throw in another interior defensive lineman, what's his name? Kai Turner? Is that it? I forget his last name. But Turner of the Rams.
Okay.
Kobe Turner, that's it.
Okay.
Literally Aaron Donald Jr. And if the Rams were ever worried about losing Aaron Donald, they basically have mini him. So, great season to him as well.
Yes. I'd even throw in a WVU alum for the Cardinals.
No.
All right, I'm not going to do it. Okay, let's go into
You don't
the...
even know his name, that's why.
I definitely forgot it. Dude,
Mountain Eaters
one of
don't
my
get
favorite
picked
players,
in the
and I
NFL.
completely forgot his name. I got to look it up. But yeah,
No,
you take it away.
moving on, let's go. Linebackers for the rookie team.
Oh, Dante Stills was the guy's name. Okay, I knew that.
Okay, he did have a decent season.
He did have a good year. Not a great one, but a decent one for an undrafted rookie. Or late round rookie, I don't remember. Anyway, linebacker, Ivan Pace and Jack Campbell. Good players. A lot of tackles.
Completely different ends of the spectrum, though.
Yes.
I mean, you're looking at a first rounder in Jack Campbell,
Yeah.
an undrafted free agent in Ivan Pace Jr.
Yeah.
And both of them were crucial on each of their defenses.
Yes. And then, we didn't even talk about who we originally had, so let's make we can do
jeez.
a real quick
Forgot about that.
run over. Yeah. So we had Jalen Carter as defensive tackle, and that's what he got. Will Anderson obviously also made it, but we had Tyree Wilson as one of the edges.
Terrible
No,
season.
that didn't go well. Middle linebackers, Jack Campbell, and then we had Drew Sanders for the Broncos. And then for outside linebackers, which we didn't do this end of the season because I forgot, but Will McDonald on the right outside, and then we had Luke Van Ness on the left outside. Both not bad, but not great either. And then we'll talk about the rest once we get to those ones. So.
For the cornerback, this was definitely a strong draft class. A lot of guys you could throw in here. Number one defensive back, though, is Devin Witherspoon. Number two corner, we're going to throw in Joey Porter Jr. Had some of the best stats for just a corner in general this season. And then we can also throw in Tyreek Stevenson of the Bears. He had a great season to himself.
Yes.
Last thing, you could throw this man in at linebacker, but Henry 2020, whatever his name is. We forgot to talk about him. Didn't quite make the cut, but just wanted to add that in there.
Yes. And then also we could have had, if this guy didn't get hurt, Christian Gonzalez. He looked like he was going to be a really good player, and he probably still will be. And then our original was also Devin Witherspoon, Joey Porter, and Christian Gonzalez. So I think we
a lot of bias, but look, it worked out.
Yeah, we were right. Yeah. And then for safety, we originally had Brian Branch, And I feel like that will be the same for this. And we also had Jair Brown for the Niners, who filled in for everybody's favorite Hufanga.
Yep, I love them.
And yeah, so
Yeah,
that
he
is
had a
your
good season as well as I guess Jonathan Battle of the Bengals.
oh yes,
He had a
yeah,
strong season.
not a bad year, yeah.
So that, ladies and gentlemen, is your all rookie team of the 2023-2024 season. And that kind of kicks off your award. Congratulations to all those young men.
All right,
But here we go. This is the fun part.
that's right.
Let's start it off with the first award of the night of the first Huddle Awards. Elijah.
Yeah, this is gonna go down in history. First
the
ever.
worst trade of the season.
Yes, and you know what? Began in the very beginning, the very first pick in the NFL draft. The Panthers traded up from the Bears, and wow, did they mess up? The Panthers didn't get as good as a thing as the Bears got out of it.
So basically, the Panthers got, as you'll see on the screen, the number 1 overall pick where they took Bryce Young.
Yeah.
The Bears got the number 9 overall pick where they took Darnell Wright.
Yes,
Number
and he had a
6,
good year.
in the second round, they got Tyreek Stevenson. We talked about. And then in 2024, they got a first-round draft pick. In 2025, they got a second-round draft pick. And maybe the biggest part of this trade, they got DJ Moore in the mix.
Yeah.
You could talk about that Jalen Ramsey trade where Jalen Ramsey got traded for, what was it, a 5th and Hunter Long, which was a McDonald's sandwich.
Yeah.
A fish sandwich. But, this by far was the worst trade of the season. So congratulations, Panthers.
First ever award.
The first ever
in
award.
the Huddle.
See, the last shall become first, Elijah. Look
Yes, there you go.
All right, let's move on to some other team awards. Let's go with another negative award. The most disappointing team of the season. We had high hopes for them in the beginning of the season. Some big moves they made over the offseason, maybe. And just did not live up to that billing during the regular season. So, Elijah, your most disappointing team of the season is...
the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I hate you for that.
Based off of their preseason and based off of just everything that happened in the offseason, I think we both, and most of Steelers fans, expected a big year for Kenny Pickett and the gang, but it just turned out to be another Steelers year, and we were out in the first round.
I'm just going to give you 4 words why we failed this year. Matt Canada, Mitch Trubisky.
Yes, those are definitely 4 names.
I don't even... Okay, never mind.
All right.
Yeah. For me, my most disappointing team, they really couldn't control... I mean, they could control this. Whenever their star quarterback went down, they could have traded for a veteran instead of keeping Zach Wilson. But the New York Jets were my most disappointing team of this past season.
I like it.
Elijah, most surprising team of the season. Go ahead.
This will be going to my Green Bay Packers. I didn't expect them to do much at all, and they beat the Cowboys and almost beat the 49ers in the playoffs. So, there we go. Here we go, Pack. Go, Pack, go.
Yeah, I agree with that one, too. But I don't think you can pass this one up. Houston Texans went from the bottom of their division. Second overall pick, second worst team in the league last year. New coach, new quarterback, made it all the way to the playoffs. So, Texans get the most surprising team of this season.
All right, and let's just keep it with we'll go back to some disappointing parts. So let's go with worst team. Also, this goes into our team section of the awards. So worst team, flop. I mean, I think we all have some names in mind. But Levi, why don't you start out with your award?
Yeah, so in third place, I'm going to give an honorable mention to the Pittsburgh Steelers. We kind of flopped towards the end of the season. Then we brought it back up because you know us. We can't finish under 500.
Yes.
Then the Cowboys. I mean, we all knew it was coming. It was just a matter of time when. Third, second place. And then first place, undoubtedly, was the Philadelphia Eagles. What were they? 10-1. And
they were pretty dang good.
11-6. And flamed out of the playoffs to Baker Mayfield. So, yeah, it's the Eagles. Also, You could throw the Jaguars in there for disrespecting.
That is
terrible
true.
Tao. They played terrible after a no-name white safety named Wingard with long blonde hair that wears number 42 touched our terrible Tao. But still, Eagles take home this award. Congratulations, you were the worst team flop of 2023.
Nice. And then I picked the Seattle Seahawks. Started out with a strong year. They did have an injury to Geno Smith, but they were still winning with Drew Lock, so it doesn't even matter. And they missed the playoffs. So that's pretty funny to me.
Jason Myers kicked away our season like 5 times. So the blame's on him.
I mean, you could blame your defense for not being able to stop Najee Harris or Jalen Warren.
Najee Harris is basically like prime Bo Jackson, so I don't know if you're talking about.
Yeah, prime Bo Jackson was not good at all.
What are you? Zero ball knowledge. Zero.
Just kidding.
You're worse than Connor.
I'm kidding.
That's a reference to 2 weeks episode.
Go watch it.
Go watch it. Or listen to it. Whatever. Let's get back up onto a positive. Best team turnaround of the season. This goes to a team that we thought had no chance of making the playoffs and came from ashes and got back up to the top and then burned to ashes again in the playoffs. This goes to the Buffalo Bills for me.
And I think that we even talked about them like probably not making the playoffs.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember it was like a picture of Sean McDermott. I was like, is this it? Yeah. They finished the season with 5 straight wins, and that was against some big teams like the Chiefs and the Cowboys. And those 5 straight wins were after being 6-6 in week 12 and finished at 11-6. So crazy turnaround from those Bills. As for Elijah, your team is
again the Green Bay Packers.
You are so biased.
I mean, pick another team other than the Bills. I mean, the Packers.
So
they started out terrible. And you know what? They came back and they made the playoffs, unlike the Seahawks did. So
yeah, Packers. I'll respect it. Packers started off 2-5.
Yeah, exactly. And we made the playoffs 8-8. You know, or whatever it was. Yeah, 8-8 or something like that. I don't like to remember records because they're kind of disappointing. But that will be my award, going back to the Packers, and that's 2 for them on my awards tonight. So that's got to be a record in itself.
Moving on, you know how we did the games of the week all season. We had the biggest win or biggest loss, whatever, same thing. We had the biggest upset of the week and the best game. These are the biggest win, the biggest upset, and the best game of the entire season. Let's start off with the biggest win. So close to creating history. And we thought these guys were Super Bowl contenders until they only could be bad teams. The Dolphins beat the Broncos a whopping 70 points to 20 points. And that was in week 2, I think, of the NFL season.
That was a fun week to watch. That was a fun game to watch.
Week 2 was a good week.
It was the beginning of the season started off pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But that is a huge win. And then the Raiders got close against the Chargers, but obviously the Dolphins still had
that picture of Austin Eckler celebrating a first down. They were down 60 through like the 7 was the greatest picture I've seen all season.
Oh yeah.
All right, moving on to the biggest upset of the season. Elijah, who took home this award.
Believe it or not, the Broncos made it after just losing 70-20 in the biggest win award. But they beat the Chiefs in week 8, 24-9, where they shut down the Chiefs, who were, Super Bowl champs this year.
Yeah.
So what a game. Russell Wilson had 3 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes had 2 interceptions. So,
and that was like the first time in many, I forget the number. It might have been 12. It was something big, but the Chiefs just crushed. They hadn't lost to the Broncos since.
Yeah. Mahomes was on a huge streak. Yeah.
And they finally broke that curse. Before we get into the best game, how about we do worst game of the season, Elijah?
Okay. I'm gonna start with the Steelers again. Steelers-Browns week 2.
That was a good game. It was a sloppy game.
It was
that game was like it was on Madden rookie mode.
That's what I'm saying. It was terrible. There was picks left and right, fumbles. Gunnar Olszewski, whatever the heck happened when he fumbled, that was bad. Oh, yeah. But George Pickens had a big game. that was a plus. But overall, it was just a gross game. But I'm glad the Steelers did win and beat those Browns. So,
yep. As for me, I think if you are an avid football watcher, you would know this one. You very well could have done what could have been the the tanking bowl between the Giants and the Patriots. That was one of the worst games I've seen in my life. But undoubtedly, it is the Vikings versus the Raiders in Week 14. The Vikings won 3-0.
Wow.
My soccer team loses games worse than the Raiders lost that game that day. So,
dang.
How about that? Worst game of the season, Vikings Raiders for me.
And that was the game after is whenever they blew out the Chargers.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. Let's move on to our last team award. This is the best game of the entire season. Elijah, your award.
This came in week 4. The Eagles were 3-0. Commanders were, I actually don't know. But it was a close game throughout, and both teams were fighting. At the fourth quarter, it came down to the Commanders putting up 14 points to tie, go into overtime, and then the Philadelphia Eagles kicked a field goal with Jake Elliott to win the game 34-31.
Yep, that was a great game.
Yes, and they went 4-0 after that. Good game.
If you want Sam Howell to be statistical God, just play him against the Eagles every week, but he'll be 0-17.
You're right.
As for me, this game, the Kelly Green jerseys, it was raining. It was a Sunday, I think.
I don't know.
But the Eagles beat the Bills in Week 12, 37-34 in overtime. That game was great. Honestly, one of the best games I've watched I wouldn't say in seasons, but in a minute. It was a great game. One other game that we could give an honorable mention to, Elijah, was maybe that Broncos-Commanders game early on in the season. Yes. The Broncos failed to get that 2-point conversion.
Oh, yeah, yes.
There was the other one that I completely forgot. We were talking about it right before this.
Probably like the Packers-Cowboys.
No. The Texans versus the Buccaneers.
Oh, yes.
That was one of the best last 3 minutes of a game that I have seen in a while as well. So
for sure,
we can give that an honorable mention. And that wraps up the team awards for the Huddle award ceremony. Let's move into some individual awards. Elijah, go ahead and read off some of the first couple ones.
All right, most surprising player of the year. This award goes to the player who had the most surprising play. Mine will be CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud was a rookie. I didn't expect him to be good at all. He ended up winning the Rookie of the Year, and he was in talks for MVP for a while. So I think this is very deserving of this guy, and what a great player that he is.
As for me, they have now made it for the third time on this list. I know it's just player, but I have to go with the Packers receiving core.
Oh, yeah. Can you name all of them? Yeah, there we go.
Jalen Reed.
Yes.
Or Jaden Reed.
Jaden Reed, yes.
Hold on. Romeo Dobbs.
Uh-huh.
And what's the other one I'm forgetting?
Dontavion Wicks. Bo Melton. Don't forget Bo Melton.
Bo Melton's garbage.
Dude, he had a great end of the season.
He had 13 catches. Anyway.
Dude, he was good.
This was a bench of no-name, late-round, garbage wide receivers that literally
outplayed the Seahawks receivers.
Stupid. This was honestly such a fun group to watch. They had so much chemistry with their mediocre quarterback.
Hey.
And honestly, I really, and Jaden Reed carried my fantasy team for half the season. So I really like this Packers receiving core as the most surprising players, I guess you could say, of the season.
Yes. Honorable mention to Baker Mayfield, who came out of nowhere.
Yep.
And had a great season with the Buccaneers. All right. The worst player. This goes to the player who was the worst. And I'm going to give mine to Mitchell Trubisky. He had 2 starts for the Steelers
So
and
bad.
2. Well, he played throughout the season because Kenny got hurt a lot, but he sucked, and he was terrible. And I never want to watch him ever again. And I'm so glad that he is gone. But he did win an award for worst player on the Huddle. Good job, Mitch.
Finally won an award.
Yeah.
And he's currently a free agent, as you'll see on the screen at the graphic I made, because he is garbage.
Garbage.
As for me, the worst player, there's 2 slides for this one.
I'm so
I can't
excited.
even look at the without laughing. Oh my goodness. The worst player of the season goes to none other than Kadarius Toney.
Let's go.
And his accomplice for some of the game, or I guess some of the season, Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Let's go. They get to share that one.
Tony was honestly terrible. He was so funny to watch.
Yeah.
This season. And he's like the one, MVS and Tony were like those 2 kids in like the class. That like if one of the kids isn't there for that day, the other kid will be fine. But put them together and it's just an absolute clown show.
Yeah.
And MVS did better whenever Tony wasn't there. But
Yes.
yeah, Kadarius Toney and his accomplice.
Again, who knew they would win awards?
Yeah.
Yeah, and a Super Bowl, I guess. So
Right. But those are your worst players of the season. Moving on, it is the dangerous, most disappointing player of the season. This is players that, honestly, looking back to some episodes we had in the offseason, both of us hyped our respective players up a ton. And you will see why we chose these players as the most disappointing. Elijah.
As much as I hate to say it, I've been using Pittsburgh a lot, but Kenny Pickett. I thought he was going to be like an MVP level quarterback, but
you're nuts.
He
I didn't think that good, but
he ended up being a I don't know, bottom of the list, no, bottom 30, bottom 20. I meant quarterback actually, just not very good, and I was disappointed. And much like Danger Russ, Old Wilson, just a disappointing season for him.
Yeah. As a true Bengals fan and one that definitely hyped this man up, this is going to have to go to T. Higgins for me as the most disappointing player this season. He only had 656 yards with only 42 receptions. This was by far the worst season of his career. Now, he played the least amount of games in his career, only appearing in 12 of these games. And obviously didn't have Joe Burrow either. I just thought this man was honestly going to be at least top 15 receiver in the season, and just wasn't him. He did have that really good play against the Vikings, but other than that, not anything too standoutish from him. So that is your most, or I guess dangerous, most disappointing player of the season. Next up, we got the most improved award. This goes to a player that obviously improved the most.
Wow.
For the past season. For me, mine goes to running back of the Los Angeles Rams, Kyren Williams.
Wow.
He played in a total of 10 games his rookie season, had 35 carries for 139 yards. This season, he only played in 2 more games, but he had a whopping 228 carries and 1,144 yards on the season, 5 yards per carry, and 12 touchdowns.
Wow.
And he was hurt for so long. Okay, not over half the season, but was hurt for a chunk of the season. And he still put up that many stats. So, Kyren Williams wins this award for me.
All right. I will give it to Baker Mayfield of the Buccaneers. Just definitely stepping up into the after Tom Brady left the Buccaneers. Obviously probably not a franchise quarterback, but definitely proved himself, and he'll probably get a contract this upcoming year, whether it's with the Buccaneers or another team.
Yep.
But he definitely proved himself with Mike Evans as his receiver. So he will get my most improved award after, terrible seasons with the Panthers and Rams and
Whoa. He had an MVP caliber game with the Rams.
Yeah, one game against the Raiders.
Yeah, that's it. All right. Moving on to Elijah introduce the next award.
This is my favorite one, actually. This was my
That's not meant to say it.
whenever we first talked about the Huddle Award show. This is the first award that I thought of. It is the Nick Foles Player of the Year. This award goes to the best backup QB. He had the most impact on his team in the season, and I think we all know this guy won.
Mitch Trubisky.
Well, no.
Nick Mullins.
No, not him either. But
Tommy DeVito.
No.
Jared Hall.
Can you just let me?
You're lost?
Can you just let me say it?
Bailey Zappi.
Joe Flacco.
Okay, good. I was trying to think of every backup that has started. Jared Stidham.
Jake Browning. That was arguably a good one. I don't know why you didn't pick him.
Tyler Badgett.
No. Okay, Joe Flacco won for both of
Joe
us.
Flacco.
He obviously took his team to the playoffs. Lost in a Browns fashion, but he did really well backing up for a team who went through a ton of quarterbacks in that season. Right. So he gets the Nick Foles Player of the Year. Yeah,
so in reality, he won the Comeback Player of the Year, and this actually this is more.
This is reality.
The NFL awards, where he wins the Nick Foles Player of the Year award for the Huddle. Next up, this goes to the Geno Player of the Year award. This goes to a veteran player who they wrote off, but they balled out this season and they didn't write back. For me, this goes to Mason Rudolph.
What a guy.
Man who was a free agent. We brought him back. Didn't do anything till the last 3 weeks of the season and in the playoffs, but my man balled out. And hopefully he earned himself a potential starting job on another team next season.
Or the Steelers.
But I don't think he wants to come back.
Oh, okay.
Elijah, who is your Geno Smith Player of the Year award?
This guy started out a lot stronger towards the beginning of the season. Didn't do as much towards the end, but still a pretty good receiver at the end. And it'll go to Adam Thielen on the Panthers. He still had a 1,000-yard receiving year, and with 103 receptions and 4 touchdowns, which is actually his best receiving yards in about, 4 years.
Jeez. My goodness.
So,
I didn't even know that. That's great.
Yeah. Had a pretty decent season for the Panthers. Probably their best receiver. So, good job to Adam Thielen for the Geno Player of the Year.
All right. Next up, we have the Venetarian of the Year. This award goes to the best kicker during the season. For me, I have Brandon Aubrey. I believe he made 35 out of 38 of his field goals.
Mm-hmm.
Something nice like that. Like a 94% kicking rate, or percentage rate. So, my Venetarian kicker of the year is Brandon Aubrey.
I originally had Brandon Aubrey, but I changed it to Harrison Butker because of his impact on the Super Bowl and throughout the year. I do think Brandon Aubrey was probably the best kicker, but I want to give a shout out to Harrison Butker for his amazing self.
Great season. Great season.
Yeah. And that's
right.
Venetarian.
Yeah, we're not doing that next award. Next up, Elijah. Go ahead, introduce this one.
The Jamarcus Player of the Year. This award goes to the biggest draft bust this year. And Levi, why don't you take away your Jamarcus?
Yeah, so a lot of people may say Bryce Young. My excuse is Bryce Young was on the Panthers and had no offensive line. So therefore, I'm choosing Tyree Wilson.
Wow.
Of the Las Vegas Raiders. Had a terrible season, honestly. He literally did nothing. So yeah, Tyree Wilson is my biggest bust.
And I am some of those people.
Or maybe Luke Van Ness.
No, he had a good year.
I'm joking.
Had a great year, a good year. I am some of those people.
Or Jordan Love.
I am some of those people who say Bryce Young was the biggest bust. First overall pick. It was probably the worst quarterback to start. Even Tyson Bagent beat him. So I feel like that's good enough to win you the Jamarcus Player of the Year. So good job, Bryce Young.
Yeah, I agree with that. Elijah, for those who don't know, please explain the name behind this award.
Jamarcus Russell was a very big draft bust a while ago. Yeah, he sucked. First overall pick, and he sucked.
Like that, Johnny Manziel.
Yeah,
Johnny Manziel.
yeah, he just sucked. Yeah, let's move on to the Mr. Purdy Irrelevant Award. This award goes to the best players drafted in late rounds. This does not include undrafted free agents. And I think we both had the same one for this. So, Levi,
Yep.
why don't you tell
We'll
us who
say
won
it
that
in
one?
unison. It's Puka. Oh.
What?
No. Puka Nacua.
Oh.
Puka Nacua takes home this award. Production maybe took a little bit of a dip once his man Cooper Kupp came back into action, but still made some unbelievable catches this season and was all around. I mean, he set so many rookie receiving records. There's too many to count. So this man undoubtedly deserves the Mr. Purdy Irrelevant award of the season. Moving on, this now is the Kurt Warner Award. This goes to the best undrafted free agents. For me, this man will win his second award. For me, it is Brandon Aubrey. This one is weird because he played professional football in the UFL or whatever it's called. I don't really know. XFL, something like that. And this was his first official year, but he wasn't considered a rookie. So I would like to give him this award. But if somebody has an issue with that, my next one would go to Ivan Pace Jr. of the Minnesota Vikings. Dude had a terrific season. If you look at his stats, played all 17 games, had a total of 102 tackles, just 2.5 sacks, but he had a fumble, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, and an interception. So I think that man had a nice resume for his rookie season.
All right. I have Tommy DeVito. He backed up for the Giants, and he wasn't great, but
as the night goes along, your picks are getting so much worse and worse and worse.
He did.
DeVito had 2 good games, had 1 agent kissed, and
let's
probably
see.
a fish head in his bed by the end of his 3rd game.
Let's look at some stats.
Yeah,
1,101 yards for 8 touchdowns. Wow.
Okay.
3 interceptions. For the amount of games that he did play, I think it's fair to say he gets.
You know what? I apologize. I don't want a fish head in my bed tonight. So,
Yeah.
Tommy DeVito, great job. You
Yes.
deserve that. Kurt Warner award.
Sure.
All right, let's move on to the Russ and Ciara Award of the Year. This goes to the biggest lovebirds of the season.
Wow.
And you all think it's going to be Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, don't you?
Yeah, I would.
But we don't support them on this show.
That is true.
So, without further ado, this goes to none other than the Cowboys, Chiefs, and Eagles with the refs.
Wow.
And Elijah.
Yeah.
Maybe the biggest lovebird of the season, Roger Goodell and his fun. Oh, disgusting.
Wow, it was
Greed.
Yeah. Too much going on there. Don't even want to break that down.
Worst fining seasons I've seen in my life.
Yeah.
Maybe the worst. It's terrible.
Yes.
So that's your Russ and Ciara award of this season.
Oh man. All right.
On a darker note, this next one is the Tom and Giselle.
Oh man.
Season. This is the worst split of the NFL season. Elijah, what was yours?
Mine was Russell Wilson and the Broncos, who obviously had the name for the last award. So now he gets to win the Tom and Giselle Award.
Yeah.
After a very interesting end of his season in Denver.
Will he return though?
Maybe.
Sounds like an off-season, season 3.
Ooh.
Question.
All right.
As for me, after so many years, 6 Super Bowls, and just maybe honestly the best dynasty of all time, Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots.
Wow.
Split. After I think it was it 20 years? Maybe?
Something like
that. But man, maybe one of the greatest coaches of all time, Bill Belichick, splits with the New England Patriots, and is still not on a team. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he takes the Alabama job.
I wouldn't be surprised if he takes the year off.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he retires.
Yeah.
So that is your Tom and Giselle award of the season.
All right. What's that? You smell that? It smells like some beef.
It smells like beef.
Yeah, it smells a lot like beef.
We got.
All right. Biggest beef award. This award goes to the players or just generally anybody who had the biggest beef throughout the season. Yep. So I will give mine, and this goes to Russell Wilson again and Sean Payton, two guys who did not see eye to eye, and they probably won't be seeing eyes again after the season, or maybe if they come back. But that is my
biggest beef award.
Yeah.
For me, here's some honorable mentions. We got Tyreek Hill and Eli Apple, who ended up being teammates this year. That was great. Deebo Samuel and James Bradbury. We know these two hate each other.
Yes.
And what's it called? I just lost my train of thought. George Kittle and Micah Parsons, or George Kittle and the entire Cowboys organization. But by far the best beef the NFL has seen in many years. Is Jamar Chase and the entirety of the Kansas City Chiefs organization.
Yes.
Especially L'Jarius
Sneed.
Yeah. And that is your biggest beef award.
All right. We got just how many? 2 more?
Just 2 more, yep.
Wow. It's already coming to an end. What a good time we had. But this is the You Made History Award.
This goes to the player or coach or anybody that made history. Look at that.
Wow. Just like
we're now history teachers.
All right. So we had DaRon Bland with 5 interceptions returned for touchdowns, aka pick sixes. He made history. And of course...
And then he fell off after DK destroyed him.
Yes. And after the Packers did that too. And then finally, Michael Tomlin. He continues most consecutive years without a losing record, and that is 17
seasons. Yep.
What a guy.
And last but not least, jeez.
Wow.
The last award of the first annual Huddle Award ceremony. This goes to the Beast Mode quotes of the year. As we all know, Marshawn Lynch once said, "I'm just here so I don't get fined."
Beautiful.
Just poetry. Words of wisdom.
Yes.
For me, this man wins back-to-back awards, and this is the second time he's done this.
Wow.
Wide-eyed. Finally took the sunglasses off. It's Mike Tomlin. We do not care. And that's it. That's all he said. And that is the greatest quote I've ever heard in my life. Because I want to say that to so many teachers and so many people in my high school. My teacher's like, write an essay about blah, blah, blah. We do not care. I don't care. Womp, womp.
Man, I love
Mike Tomlin to say that. But yes, that is my beast mode quote of the year. But if I had to give this award to one person, it would definitely, by far, be to the one Elijah Cover is about to say.
All right. The final award for me, Beast Mode Quote of the Year. This goes to everybody's favorite person in the world.
Levi Jenkins.
No, I said favorite person.
Oh, sorry.
Referee Alex Kemp, who said, "I'm talking to America here."
Greatest moment of the season. Not a catch, not a touchdown, not a game. This was the greatest moment.
Yes.
Of the NFL season.
And he won an award for it. No one ever thought he would, but you know what? He's here today.
The first ref to actually win a good award.
Man.
Alex Kemp.
Good job, Alex. Good job, everybody who won.
Yeah. Let's get a hand clap.
Yeah.
Look at that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for your award show. I guess the Huddle Awards, the first annual Huddle Awards. And basically, because we're juniors in high school, we might only have the second annual Huddle Award, and this podcast might never be a thing again. but
This might end up being the last annual awards, Huddle Awards. So,
but still, this is the first and last. But that is it for this episode. We hope this is something fun and different for you guys. Next week, we have, next 2 weeks, we're going to have our 46th episode is going to be our season review. I'm actually not going to get into the details of that.
okay.
We'll hear it next week. But definitely one of the episodes I'm looking forward to the most. Some competitiveness between me and Elijah might come out in that episode, as well as the season finale will be week. That'll be in 2 weeks. So first week of March, and maybe something like that. Yeah, first week of March or something.
Wow.
But our season finale will be the Steel Curtain show.
Nice.
We said, maybe I think in last week's episode. So just a recap of the Steelers season, and some fun things looking into the off season.
And what a number episode to end off of, 47. I mean, come on, we couldn't have picked like 50, not even 48.
I know.
We just ended it with 47.
Goof episode. Because I don't want to keep on because by the time March hits, buddy, you know what it's time for.
What is it?
Mock drafts.
Let's
we should have been already doing mock drafts.
Yeah, I've already gotten like
coming around, dude. Well, no, because the draft's in April, but still, 2 months to prepare for the draft seems great.
Yes.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. This has been a night of awards and tears and disappointment. And
the story of Levi's life.
Yeah, baby. Oh my goodness, shut up. That was fun. All right. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening.
Peace.